So this week on Jabba's Court, we're asking the question: as the documentary music by John Williams is released, who does Lucasfilm turn to as composer for its movie soundtracks? Paul, have you got an idea in mind of where Lucasfilm should turn to, or
Talk about putting me on the spot.
or is it just a case you can't replace John Williams, and so movie by movie you need to find the right composer for that individual particular movie?
I think that's exactly the answer that I was going to come up with. I think the greatest honor that you can bestow upon John Williams is the fact that he is irreplaceable. So it probably is better just to have a different composer working on each individual sort of TV show or film. Obviously, if there's a series of films, you will want some sort of continuity. So if, for example, they announced that they were doing episodes 10, 11, and 12, and that John wasn't going to be associated with it, pick a composer and let them work on that project on all three films. But generally speaking, if it's an individual film or an individual TV series, swap it around. Let's get some different people doing different things. I have started watching the documentary. It's only because of lack of time I've not been able to finish watching it, but it's fascinating stuff. His relationship with Steven Spielberg, particularly strong and shown as being a very close creative and working partnership. And Steven Spielberg and George Lucas both say in the documentary, the music makes up half of the film. It's not just the visuals. The music is so essential. It's not just there as background music. It is a huge part of each film or TV show. What do you think, Brian? Would you want to replace him with just one given person?
I don't think so. I think his music is going to be part of Star Wars forever. Uh,
Yeah,
Even if you bring in another composer, it's going to have John Williams themes throughout,
it's
or at
going to
least
be cues, isn't it?
callbacks.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But then you've seen like Kevin Kiner on the animation, who has really excelled and made that something that's his own. So I think it is possible for talent to come in and really stamp a mark.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But I think with John Williams, I mean, outside of Star Wars, and when you watch the documentary, you're reminded of so many things that you'd probably forgotten that he was involved with, or even things that you go, really, he was involved with that? Things that themes that you know from way back, you had no idea he was associated with. For example, Peter Gunn. I had no idea that
Yeah.
was John. So all sorts of weird and wacky things. Now he could turn his hand to pretty much anything. I think he is. The exception to the rule. I don't think anybody and everybody can do what John did. So give them a project, let them do the very best with it, but don't expect to keep coming back and back and back to the same person because I don't think it's fair on them, to be honest, because they will have some duff ones in there.
Like Ludwig Göransson did something unique for The Mandalorian. It
Yeah,
seemed wrong not to have him involved in the soundtrack for the movie.
correct. Yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
that's very, very much
Supposedly,
linked anyway, isn't
yeah,
it? Sorry.
your video has frozen, but I can still hear you, so we're going to carry on.
It's and I'm getting the same from you, so this is all good.
Yay, technology.
Yay! We'll pretend it's all going.
Yeah,
We'll pretend it's all going well.
yeah. And Mr. Neil was saying nobody has the musical grounding Williams had.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. To me, he's up there with the likes of Mozart and Bach and all the well-known sort of classical composers. He is a classical composer. It just runs through his veins, doesn't it?
Just the sheer number of Oscar nominations he's had. Like, no one's ever going to come close to anything like that. Doesn't
No,
matter what
no,
field you're in.
no. It's a ridiculous achievement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Uh-huh.
he's. I think the simple conclusion to the question is he's irreplaceable.
Yeah,
Um, his work is going to stand the test of time. And it's going to be here as long as Star Wars is.
yeah,
And we will have other composers come along, and we've kind of got to let them do their own thing.
yeah. But you can guarantee they will take musical cues from what John's done in the past, and there'll always be like a hint of Vader's theme thrown in or a hint of the main theme. It'll happen, and it needs to for as a nod of the hat to a nod of the head and a tip of the hat to John.
Yeah. And we've seen some composers come in and do fantastic jobs, like on the Solo movie, for
Mm.
example, as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, which is really, really good. But it doesn't mean that that composer will then take on all the Star Wars
No.
projects. Yeah,
In many ways, it's quite nice to have a different sound and soundtrack to each project.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and perhaps sometimes, we'll be talking a bit more about the Skeleton Crew shortly. From what little bits we've heard on the trailer, it sounds like they've gone down a very different route with the music for that. And why not? It doesn't have to always be orchestra based.
Yeah. Perfect timing when we're talking music.
Hello there, Mando. Well, maybe we could get Mambo number five.
um,
Yeah,
Mr. Newbold chipping in there as well. John Powell, closest successor, his work in Solo was magnificent. Yep, I agree.
yeah. It was absolutely spot on, and it felt like a John Williams composition as well. But whether that's something that should be encouraged or avoided, I don't know. Um, John is just sort of like so revered. Do you really want people trying to sort of emulate his success?
Yeah,
Not really.
yeah. On that basis, I think we move on with the rest of GMT
Absolutely.
and bring an end to this week's Jabba's Court. And of course, Jabba's Court's part of Good Morning Tatooine. Your weekly recap of all the Star Wars news, live streaming every Sunday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. in New York, and is its own separate series on Father Tracks TV every Wednesday at 7 p.m.